Bonjour and welcome to Rauta with some black metal reissue. Hell Militia, their debut album. Here it is, Canonisation of the False Spirit. This came already out years and years ago, and here it is as a reissue version. Already the CD coming out because I poorly packed it. So here it is, Redefining Darkness, having done a nice job with this 4-folding digipack release. Not the kind of a glossy kind, but the kind of I prefer the non-glossy kind. So if you take a look here, I will do it more slowly and you will actually see the nicely laid out graphics here, which is just, doing, in my opinion, nice homage to the whole band here, to the actual release. And then there's also a booklet. Sometimes digipacks, which are 3-4 folding, don't even have a booklet because all the lyrics are within the opening pages. But here it is, and once again, this is non-glossy either, filled with nice details, and all the paper quality feels a little bit thick, which is the kind of a borderline cardboardish thing. And I pay attention to these kind of details because whatever you feel in your fingertips, as opposed to when everything is just digital, this feels great, looks great. So once again, good job to the label putting out a release like that. I, for one, tend to like when packaging, be it vinyl, CD, tape, whatever, is done with, care. So this is how the packaging looks. What can we tell about the music? What can we tell about the band? Let's search for Metal Archives, and here it is. So black metal from France, Paris, the capital city, started in 2001, so almost a quarter of a century ago, and released his first album 20 years ago, which I guess is the reason for this reissue version, a 20th anniversary celebration in a way. And at least according to Metal Archives, haven't really, done my research for this review, if this holds true, but originally it says Satanism, crime and murder, early, and later darkness, death, nihilism, decay. Guess they became too nihilist and abandoned, crimes and Satan. I don't know, these are not my interpretation of the lyrics or whatsoever, so take it with a grain of salt. Or if you don't, at least don't blame me, I didn't write it here. But what can we say about this band? Yes, 4 albums within 20 years, and this is the debut one. So, features this about 10 tracks. I'm going to check out if it is still holds true. Yes, these are now not named, by the way, as psalms as here on this Metal Archive site. And if you look at the other versions, it will list this 2005 original one, and then the reissues, including this one, what we have more or less here. Here it says Darkness Shall Rise production. Should I really say Redefining Darkness? My bad. My apologies if I mentioned more wrong label. Mind works weird ways. We're not here to debate about my mistakes, however, so let's start talking about this album. Technically speaking, this is a little bit divided work in so many ways. First of all, it starts pretty basic second wave black metal. This certain level of aggression, darkness, and all the necessary qualities and ingredients what you need for quality black metal. I'm talking about the kind of a production which is not exactly neat and polished, but not raw enough to just make this sound like trash. What I mean here is that it's not really that necro, but really, really fitting here, and once again delivering the kind of original black metal feeling from the 90s, even though technically speaking, of course, this is from 2000s. And in terms of songwriting, there are lots of these kind of riffs which just put you in the right corner of the map. Once again, delivering you the second wave of black metal, just kind of appropriately done. However, not the most original one. If there are moments and you feel like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool with the kind of a, dark feeling and the satanic atmosphere and all that stuff, I mean, it's right there. But this is not going to challenge a lot of those older bands that made the waves already back in the 90s. That is not to say there's anything wrong, doing just kind of a basic stuff, if you will. But when you start comparing this to the classics, obviously this might pale a little bit in comparison. But that's kind of a given when we're talking about the classics and not the ones that nobody even remembers or mentions when we're talking about the early waves of second wave black metal. However, towards the end, this album kind of starts to change, and that means there are some very, what I would say, French ideas. Not exactly avant-garde-ish, but some ideas are like, why they are there. And I feel they're a little bit artsy. Not, luckily, too artsy, but for example, there's this track where it just kind of makes it sound like you have a faulty vinyl, like gung, gung, like stepping, like, and you're like, what's wrong with my player? And then you realize it's intentional. It's not like your CD is jumping or vinyl or whatever, but it's intentional. And I feel that is just, annoying the listener. They don't have really other purpose. They're not really like improving the quality of the album. And then there's some other details, but in my honest opinion, in the whole big picture, they don't really matter that much. It's just more like these guys wanted to be a little bit goofy in the end. There's other parts where it's like, you're like, why there these kind of vocals? What is this meaning of this and that kind of riff? So it's almost like if they had removed all these funny or goofy elements, the album would be, I don't know, more solid. But at the same time, I have to say, they kind of create these, in a way, memorable moments, which just separate them from just run-of-the-mill bands. Overall, I would say this is pretty decent of an album, so nothing like no major flaws, nothing really annoying except for that one part and all. And since the production is fitting, the screams or raspy vocals, whatever you want to call them, are just right there on the map. So pretty much very decent starter for a new band back in the days. And as such, in my opinion, has deserved its reissue. But is this something really memorable, like a classic by now? No, I wouldn't go that far. So good news for those who missed the band back in the days or who just wanted to get a new reissue of this band. So there is that. But I don't know, maybe give it a listen. I wouldn't just recommend this blindly, like go and buy it. More like give it a listen and you might like it, especially if you are into kind of a traditional second wave black metal with some goofy ideas here and there. I mean, don't let them disturb you, but if they do disturb you, what can I say? Anyway, links are provided in the description box. Go for a full French experience and listen to the whole discography if you enjoy it after this one, or no. But here it is, links provided. Pretty nice of a release, and good job with the packaging. And apologies for mentioning the wrong label in the beginning. Off you go, bye-bye.